A ballerina's perspective, from performing with New York City Ballet and Alvin Ailey American Dance Theater to publishing poetry books and mentoring kids and teens. Join us in a weekly discussion with experts to gain mental health clarity and achieve growth and moral consciousness. Give our show a 5 stars, comment, share, and come along for the ride.
Welcome to the Growth, Grace, and Gratitude podcast, where we talk all things mental health, wellness, positive psychology, inner child healing, and so much more. Today, we will discuss mental health discipline and the struggles of today's adolescent youth with Thomas J. LaGrave Jr., who focuses on adolescent mental health and the transition into adulthood. He is not only a best-selling author, but he also is a former Hospital Corpsman with the U.S. Navy SEALs, sharing over 35 years of experience. His latest book, Special Welfare, Social Warfare, delves into the struggles of today's youth. Thank you so much for coming on the podcast today.
I appreciate it too. This is a wonderful opportunity and I am grateful.
Your book so beautifully echoes the time, because we actually, in terms of politics, we had a huge event politically at Madison Square Garden the other day. And yesterday was actually Statue of Liberty Day. So there's such a kind of like an all-encompassing timeline of connecting unity towards community, and it's a really interesting time to kind of dive into what it means to have healthy mental health and how do you connect to mental health in general? How did you come to this journey through mental health?
For me, the start began with I'm a recovering addict alcoholic, and that was really the main intersection to my life. I started using substances at the age of 14, and I would say by the age of 15, I was an addict. I didn't recognize it then, and then the arc of my life, I at 18 left home, went into the military, got an opportunity to pursue the medical side that I enjoyed as a hospital corpsman, and then there was an opportunity to become a Navy SEAL, and I took it and succeeded and graduated. BUDS is Basic Underwater Demolition SEAL Training. I was Class 106. I graduated February 29th, 1980. 9 years later, because of the addiction that I brought with me that I didn't recognize, I was discharged from SEAL Team 1 for drug use. And what happened was there was no going back, and I was in horrible condition, physically, mentally, spiritually, emotionally. I was bankrupt. So within a very short period of time, I recognized the need for addressing the drug issue, and I entered a 90-day recovery facility. After 90 days, I was able to break the physical aspect of addiction, but I was nowhere clear as to how to live life. About 1 year, I recognized that I was in trouble, that it wasn't working, and I came up with the idea of I could not see my childhood, I could not feel my childhood, and so I thought if I put myself in the environment of youth that were experiencing the same thing that I was at that age, that maybe I could see and learn from. So I became an adolescent counselor, overnight counselor, working with court-appointed adolescents, 13 to 17-year-olds, and from them, I learned how to live life. And because of that opportunity, and the next one, once I left there, was 4 years with the Boys and Girls Club, the age group there, 6 to 18, I found that I had a calling, and from that group, that generation of young people, they gave me back my life. And because of that, I have dedicated my life back to them. So right now I sit here with all the experience of a lifetime. I went on to get an education, bachelor's, a master's. I'm licensed clinical and board certified diplomat in social work. So at this point right now, the book is over my shoulder. I think you might be able to see that. Is so this came about special welfare, social warfare. Special welfare is uh, I was a social worker, special welfare, but I was also a Navy SEAL, which was special warfare. So I played with the words. I came up today. We need a special type of welfare for our youth, and if we don't, we're going to end up with social warfare, and I don't think anybody wants that. With that said, the spirituality comes from recovery, and it comes from dedicating your life to something other than yourself. I have come to understand that the healthier I am, the more honest I am, the more truthful I am with myself, I can be that with other people, and that's a form of spirituality that I practice, especially with kids, because if you're not honest and upfront and truthful, youth will see you. They will call you out and they will ignore you. They won't have anything to do with you. So they have taught me over the decades how I had to live my life if I was going to live in their world. In short, that's pretty much that piece from me.
Wow, that's so beautiful. Thank you for sharing parts
Oh,
of
and
the
thank you.
journey.
Yeah.
And especially in today's youth, there are so many struggles that unfortunately do lead to addictions. And I think it's a big part of it is we don't give the children the correct tools, especially like when they're growing and they don't know how to deal with resilience. And I think so often we have this kind of like perfectionism mindset collectively. And when children are growing and they're failing, or they're just falling down along the path of growing, because that's life and that's normal. Um, when we don't teach kids resilience, then they don't know how to move with the flexibility of shifting and acknowledging the changes or acknowledging the lessons, because everybody is so focused on winning or achieving something so quickly that sometimes children actually have to learn how to accept failure, how to understand, to move through failure, maybe to shift towards a different direction. For example, I grew up dancing ballet, so I really appreciate the art and discipline of that daily rehearsal, that daily bar class. It also teaches resilience because if you mess up on a combination, if you mess up on a step, you can go back to the bar and you can just do it again, try it again. And that also kind of takes away the fear of feeling like a failure, because a lot of adults are just like teenagers in adults' body because they still carry the fear of failure. Do you think that's also contributing a lot to today's children, today's youth?
That walks into the book. The book is I have a nonprofit called Honor Bound Academy, and for the last 10 years, I've attempted to get funding for it and was unable. And due to that, having all of that work put into creating a program such as that, I did not want to leave it without putting it out into the world. So if I couldn't get the money to create it, I decided I'd write a book, tell a story, and at the very end of it, put that in. Uh, um, Honor Bound Academy is a 1-year program. It's specifically for 18, 19, 20-year-olds. And what it does is it gives you the transitional information, knowledge, insight of going from adolescence to adulthood, because we all transition that. It's the most horrific time in all of our lives because of the unknown, and having an actual rite of passage is what is, I believe, missing in society today. And to your point of coddling and keeping safe your children, you do no favors to them, because they're going to enter into our world, and this world we live in is not is not for the faint of heart. And so during the 1-year program, I set up various scenarios where I put youth into a position where they're going to fail. And I'm going to make sure they fail, because once they have understood that failure is a right, you have the right to fail in life. And as long as you understand that, the only negative with failure is if you do not get up and try again. And the school, the nonprofit, the Honor Bound Academy is based in surrounding youth with mentors and teaching all that you need to know in a very short period of time that will be a support and a tool as you progress between adolescence and adulthood. To the point again, failure is, for me, I am sitting here because of all of my failures. This isn't based off of my successes. Each time I failed, it gave me an opportunity to better understand myself, see what the issues were that brought about that failure, how to overcome it, and to adapt, change, improvise, and become better by it.
That is great, exactly, because it's like failure is a privilege, and it's almost like a gift that we don't even realize until we get over that hump of understanding. You mentioned understanding ourselves. It's so true, because when we fail at something, we kind of like become the investigator and see why, how, what we could do better next time. And it really prompts us to live a more honest, intentional life, because we're kind of like collaborating with ourselves, with a different version of ourselves to hopefully carve out a better version of ourselves. So I think it's a beautiful way to grow and evolve, and especially in today's youth and adolescents when they are struggling. And how you mentioned, and having a mentor is such a beautiful thing, because a mentorship it's a very delicate kind of support system that sometimes kids don't need it's like a daily mentor, but sometimes it's just a word from somebody that stays with them throughout their lives, that helps them in tough moments, that helps them rise to the occasion when they're called to. Having a mentor is such a beautiful gift to adolescents, for sure.
Absolutely. In the book, the front part is the story I tell. Adolescents at this point and young adults, I put that through the ranges of literally from birth to 29. My focus is 18, 19, and 20, but all of the, that whole spectrum there from birth to 29 is what I am advocating for. That right now this is a generation that is growing up more intuitive than any other generation before them. And because of that intuitiveness, they have to be guided in a different manner. They don't understand the way that their parents, grandparents were raised and educated. So at this point, what I'm recognizing is in our country we're at a crossroads, and you have an adult population that is afraid, is angry, is scared, does not know or understand what's happening. And the issue with the inability to talk with one another is what it does is it makes its way into the adolescent world, where the majority of how that phase of life, they don't hear our words. They don't listen to what we say. They watch what we do. And they're watching this world where we're in such fear and anger, and it's creating horrible experiences for them in a multitude of ways. And that covers the range of suicidality to drug addiction to helplessness. And I am, because of a group of youth, I am here because of them that I find unacceptable, and it is the reason that I'm sitting here with you, reaching out to say to them, dress. I'm interviewing right now for a job position as an adolescent uh, representative for them. And what it takes is, from my experience learning from the youth, I can't tell them I want to do this. I can't show them I want to do that. And this is where I am, out and about, explaining who I am, what I am, why I am, and what I wish to do. And I'm sitting here with you, and I am grateful for this opportunity to do just that.
That's beautiful. And when you had your shift from adolescence to adulthood, what do you feel like one thing was missing that you wish you had that you think would have helped you?
You know what? I looked at that, and I've been pondering that for days, and I truly cannot come up with what I didn't have. I can share with you what I did have. I had strong male role models in my father, my grandfather, my uncles, and then I knew what to look for in strong role models. So when I had coaches and I had teachers, and this goes beyond just the male role model. My mother is my greatest advocate, my dearest person, and the 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 both sides of that upbringing gave me what I needed. And the particulars with addiction, it's in our family. Our whole family's in recovery, but it doesn't necessarily have to be there because of a detriment in, say, a strong role model. But in my case, it did, and from what I'm seeing too, uh, it's still there. There, there was a job I had that I worked in the prison system, and there was a key element to why I went in there to see that. I have been working with youth, and I wanted to understand that, was there something in youth that the inmates that I was working with that they wish they had? And to answer your question is what they gave me, is what I've embraced. And they said, I did not have a strong male role model. And that's what I heard in the prison system over and over again. So in that way, I benefited from it, yet was still, my parents were wonderful in all aspects, except they didn't want to talk about sex, and they didn't want to talk about drugs, and I paid the price for them not having that conversation with me, but I won't blame them. I just know better in how I address it with young people today.
Yeah, it's very interesting how so often there's like family is the nucleus of is unity, and it's when we build upon that foundation, it's interesting how it does help to shape the youth, because when we have that structure and we have that, like you mentioned, a strong father role, father figure, we see the hierarchy, and that creates respect, that creates healthy authority. And I feel like this kind of integrity builds and helps to build the youth into holistic adults, because I feel like there are different narratives today, and there's so many kind of toxic masculine or toxic feminine. There's so many different roles that people place themselves in because they think that's what the narrative is showing them to do. But actually, when you think about like a strong male role model, you think of the father of the family who's able to lead and guide and be that mentor.
If you're ready to shake off that daily stress, come join us for online beginner, adult, ballet, and yoga classes each week to connect with the flow of movement and the art of ballet into perfect synergy. Come as you are and learn to love your body a little bit more and gain strength and flexibility with each class. All are welcome. Sign up at balletartsmovement@gmail.com. First class free. Podpitch is the first and only software that finds, writes, and sends pitches to podcast hosts from your actual email address. Podpitch will make sure you get podcast bookings guaranteed. Link in the description of the podcast. ClickFunnels easily build any type of online business and sales funnel in record time, no matter what your product, service, or niche, without any tech, design, or experience whatsoever. Try the ClickFunnels 14-day free trial, link in the description of the podcast.
Absolutely. So we can continue on along that line. With the program, I have 4 pillars that I've integrated. One is one of the wealthiest individuals in America, that is the patron. And then I chose, because of the need, I as a social worker, as a clinician, there are 2 taboos. I do not talk on politics or religion. But what comes about is there is spirituality, and in the form of spirituality that I wanted to be part of Honor Bound Academy, I took a Native American tribe as a foundational educational perspective. And then I took my background in special forces, and there are several different types in the U.S. military, and I have that as an additional foundation. So side by side with the Native American and that special forces perspective, and then I utilize the fantasy book is Tolkien, J.R. Tolkien, Silmarillion, and the architecture. I don't want to have a compound that is buildings and normal environment. I want to create and put you into what just awes you every day in what we can create as far as an architectural wonder, and then have you in that learning, spending that year understanding that the wealth of the patron to the foundation of the spiritual Native American, to include the warrior perspective, and in meshing them all together and doing that in 1 year, where again those are the tools. That is the surrounding that I wish to put them in, because your surroundings dictate so much. So I will create an environment that just keeps you wondering and imagining how endless possibilities can be. And that is something you have to show. You can't talk and tell. So that is the continuation, the last part of our conversation.
Amazing, yes. And how you mentioned that part about spirituality and previously about intuition, it's so true. It does feel like today's children and new children that are being born, and they seem to be more spiritual. And that's why the struggles were so extreme, because when there's such a big shift from the consciousness, it is a big struggle to grow up in this physical world without that guidance. So I think it is a great thing that you're offering to the youth, to be that support system, the guidance system, and the discipline, a structure that helps them kind of grow and figure out who they are and figure out how to gain strength and through resilience. So it's a wonderful opportunity. And what is your message to the youth growing up in today's highly divisive world?
The message is simple. It's that I have spent the last 4 decades becoming what I believed I needed to be to best service and advocate for you. And I want you to know that this is the last piece of me working my way into the public domain, where I become a voice. And the writing of the book was the vehicle to give me that opportunity. So it now allows me to have this conversation with you, to say once again, and I will say over and over again, that I am here seeking to be an advocate for adolescent, young adult America. And I have just begun, before this is said and and is incomplete. I wish to be known from sea to shining sea, with the understanding that the only thing I am here for is to support and advocate for young America. And I will, because of my age, my knowledge, my insight, my generation, I get to do warfare with them in a way that you don't have the knowledge that I do, and will address wanting everybody to understand that this is the right thing to do, is to support our youth. But if you don't want to do what's right, then here I am too for that. And that is the message I want our youth to know, is that I don't need anything. I don't want anything. You gave me what I needed years ago, and now it's my turn to give it back to you. And here I am. I'm ready.
Beautiful. Thank you so much for this beautiful
Absolutely.
conversation. Thank you for being that generational voice of reason to the youth so they can hopefully come to be aligned to be their best selves. And where can people, yes.
I want one more piece. The program Honor Bound Academy and the book I wrote was written in the masculine, and I needed to be understood and needed to know. When I initially saw it, I saw it for the female, the feminine. And what it is I have a Rolodex that is complete, that is labeled the feminine mystique. Honor Bound Academy can be created for the 18, 19, the 18, 19, and 20-year-old females, and it would be standardized. There would be an Honor Bound Academy for the males and one for the females. But I need our young ladies to know that you are very special to me, and you will have your own, and I have a Rolodex of the most powerful, amazing women that have had an effect on me in the last 3-4 decades, and they're all waiting and ready to produce for both sexes. And that's what I wanted to share.
Amazing. And where can people connect with you?
Yes. I have a website for Honor Bound Academy, which has all of the various platforms. That is the honorboundacademy.org. You will come into my world and you will see what it is that I am attempting to do. And from there, each of the platforms are being addressed. So I have a number of individuals that are supporting me right now, bringing about the ability to reach as far as I possibly can to bring the message that to our youth, I have arrived, and soon you will know that there is a voice for you in this world, and I'm seeking that. So, like I said, I'm interviewing. You're going to say yes. All that I can say is, I wish I could be for you. And now I come back to say thank you to the host.
Thank you so much for coming on the podcast, Tom. What a beautiful and inspired conversation.
Absolutely. Thank you.